The Galactic Council chamber fell silent as Ambassador Zixathera of the Kree Collective rose from her crystalline seat. Her four eyes narrowed in contempt as she addressed the assembly. "The human requests entry into our coalition," she announced, her translator converting her chittering into standard galactic. "But I must remind this esteemed body of what Earth truly is, a planet that breeds lunatics. Their history is violence. Their nature is chaos. They are unsuited for civilized space." Murmurs of agreement rippled through the chamber. The humans had been petitioning for membership for 3 standard cycles now, and each time the debate ended the same way. Too aggressive, too unpredictable, too dangerous. "The human representative has arrived," announced the arbiter, a floating consciousness of pure energy. "Shall we hear her case?" Zixthera's mandibles clicked in amusement. "Let us witness their madness firsthand." The chamber doors irised open and Captain Elena Vasquez strode in. She wore the standard diplomatic uniform of Earth's Stellar Corps, navy blue with silver trim. Her dark hair was pulled back in a regulation bun. Her posture was military perfect, and behind her on a reinforced titanium leash waddled a honey badger. The chamber erupted in confusion. Delegates from 100 worlds rose from their seats, translation devices chattering in a dozen languages simultaneously. The methane breathers in their environmental suits released clouds of agitated vapor. The hive mind representatives began buzzing in discordant harmony. "What is the meaning of this?" Zixathera demanded. "You bring a predator into these hallowed halls?" Elena smiled, and it didn't reach her eyes. "This is Sergeant Rattel. He's my emotional support animal." "Emotional support?" The Kree ambassador's voice dripped with disdain. "You prove my point, human. What rational species requires emotional support from a predator?" "One that's been to war," Elena replied quietly. "One that's lost friends. One that still shows up to do the work anyway." She walked to the center of the chamber, Sergeant Rattel snuffling along beside her. The honey badger seemed utterly unconcerned by the hundreds of alien eyes watching him. He scratched behind his ear with a hind leg, then yawned. "You call us lunatics?" Elena continued, her voice carrying through the vast space. "You say we're too violent for your coalition. Too unpredictable. But let me tell you what we really are." She tapped a command on her wrist display. A holographic display materialized above the chamber floor, showing a barren, red planet. "This is Kepler 442b. 6 months ago, a Vreen mining colony there was struck by a solar flare that knocked out their communications and life support. They had 72 hours before their atmosphere processors failed. Your coalition debated for 3 days whether the rescue mission was economically viable. The image shifted to show human ships in orbit. We didn't debate. We went. We lost 2 ships and 47 crew members pulling 600 Vreen miners out of those tunnels. We didn't ask for payment. We didn't ask for thanks. We went because it was the right thing to do." Zixthera's translator emitted a sharp sound. "Recklessness is not a virtue, human." "No," Elena agreed. "But neither is cowardice dressed up as prudence." She gestured to Sergeant Rattel, who had found a particularly interesting spot on the floor to sniff. "You see a predator? A dangerous animal. You're right. Honey badgers are one of Earth's most fearless creatures. They fight lions. They shrug off venom that would kill most beings. They don't quit. Don't surrender, don't back down." Elena crouched down and scratched the badger behind his ears. He made a contented chirring sound. "But they're also loyal, intelligent, adaptable, and when you treat them right, when you earn their trust, there's no better companion in a tough spot." She stood, facing the assembly directly. "Humanity is the honey badger of the galaxy. We're tough. We're stubborn. We've survived ice ages, plagues, world wars, and our own stupidity. We've clawed our way up from caves to starships. And yes, we're a little crazy. You have to be crazy to look at the impossible and decide to try anyway." The hologram changed again, showing dozens of scenes. Humans working alongside aliens on construction projects. Human doctors treating exotic species. Human engineers sharing technology freely. Human teachers helping young aliens learn. "You say we breed lunatics. Maybe you're right. But we breed the kind of lunatics who run into burning buildings to save strangers. The kind who see a problem and fix it rather than forming a committee. The kind who believe that the strong should protect the weak, not exploit them." Sergeant Rattel chose that moment to waddle toward the Kree ambassador's platform. Zixthera recoiled in her seat. "Control your beast," she shrieked. Elena made a sharp whistle, and the honey badger immediately returned to her side. She produced a treat from her pocket and gave it to him. "See," she said, "even lunatics can learn discipline when it matters." The arbiter's voice resonated through the chamber. "The human makes an interesting case, but words are easy. What assurance do we have that your species can be trusted with the responsibilities of coalition membership?" Elena's expression grew serious. "You don't. You won't. Not until you take that leap of faith. But I'll tell you this. When the next disaster strikes, when the next impossible situation arises, when you need someone crazy enough to try when logic says to quit, you'll be glad the lunatics from Earth are on your side." She paused, then added, "And if you don't believe me, ask the Vreen miners on Kepler 442b. Ask the Delphine refugees we evacuated from the supernova zone. Ask the 17 species we've shared medical advances with, free of charge. Ask anyone who's seen humans in action rather than just hearing about us in council chambers." Sergeant Rattel sat on his haunches and looked up at the assembly with dark, intelligent eyes. For a moment, the most powerful beings in the galaxy found themselves evaluated by a 20-pound Earth predator who seemed singularly unimpressed. The arbiter pulsed with thoughtful light. "The council will deliberate on the human application. This session is adjourned." As Elena turned to leave, Zixthara called out, "Tell me, human, why did you really bring that creature?" Elena looked back over her shoulder, and this time her smile was genuine. "Because you called us lunatics. I figured I should bring proof that even our crazy comes with a purpose. Sergeant Rattel has saved my life twice, once from an assassination attempt, once from giving up entirely after a bad mission. He's loyal, fierce, and doesn't know how to quit. Sound familiar?" She walked out, the honey badger trotting proudly at her side, leaving a chamber full of aliens wondering if perhaps lunacy, when properly directed, might not be such a terrible thing after all. In the end, the vote was close, but humanity was granted provisional membership. And when the next crisis came, as crises always do, the galaxy learned what Earth had known all along. Sometimes you need a little crazy to get the job done.